Can ChatGPT fix your follow-up after meeting number one? I want to talk about something that costs real estate teams a lot of opportunities, and most people do not realize how expensive it is. The first meeting goes well. The agent is interested. They ask good questions. They like the model. They like the culture. They leave with a decent impression. Then the follow-up gets slow, inconsistent, or too generic. 2 days pass, then 4. Then someone finally sends a message that sounds like it could have gone to anybody. That is where a lot of growth conversations quietly die. Before we get into the build, do me a favor. Hit like if this is a system you know you need to tighten up, subscribe if you want more practical AI and team growth videos, and drop a comment with the part of your follow-up process that gets messiest. First meeting prep, post-meeting recap, objection handling, next step emails, text follow-up, transition questions, whatever it is, I want to know where the wheels come off. Here is the idea. In about 15 minutes, you can build a simple AI assistant that helps your admin team draft better agent attraction follow-up. Use it for relationship-based conversations with agents you already know, agents who have raised their hand, or agents who have agreed to a real conversation. Keep it clean. No cold blast, no automated spam, no promises, no pressure, no telling anyone how to get around an agreement with their brokerage. This is a follow-up and preparation tool. Use it with judgment. The reason this matters is simple. The team that responds fastest usually wins. Fast does not mean careless. Fast means the person you talk to gets a thoughtful follow-up while the conversation is still fresh. They get answers to the questions they actually asked. They get a next step that makes sense. They feel like someone listened. Follow-up is speed plus relevance. That is the bar. So here is what I would build. Open ChatGPT and create a simple assistant for your team's agent attraction process. The job of this assistant is to help your team prepare, draft, organize, and respond with more consistency. Your assistant needs to understand 5 things first: your team value props, your commission structure, your culture, your training systems, and your frequently asked questions. Start with your team value props. Write them plainly. Do not make them sound like a brochure. What do agents actually get when they plug into your world? Do they get stronger listing support, better buyer systems, weekly training, operational help, marketing assets, transaction coordination, local market intelligence, admin leverage, mentorship from people who are still producing? Put it in plain language. The assistant needs the real substance. Next, give it your commission structure. This has to be accurate. Splits, caps, fees, team costs, what is included, what is optional, what changes at different production levels. If you are talking about real brokerage, make sure the details are current and clear. If something varies, say that it varies. If something needs verification, mark it that way. The assistant should never guess on money. Money conversations require precision. Then give it your culture. This is where most people get vague. They write things like collaborative, growth-minded, supportive. Those words are fine, and they need real examples behind them. How do you handle accountability? What does a good team meeting feel like? What kind of agent thrives in your environment? What behaviors do you reward? What makes someone a poor fit? What do you protect? Culture becomes more useful when the assistant can explain it through real examples. After that, add your training systems. This is the part that can make the assistant very useful. Give it your onboarding plan, your first 30 days, your weekly meeting rhythm, your buyer process, your seller process, your scripts, your standards for follow-up, your transaction checklist, your coaching cadence. When an agent asks, what kind of support would I actually get? Your admin team should be able to draft a specific answer in minutes. Then add your FAQs. This should come directly from real conversations. What do agents ask after meeting number one? How does sponsorship work? What happens if I am on a team now? How long does transition take? What tools do I keep? What changes with my license? How do I handle current clients? What happens with pending deals? Who do I call when I need help? Build the assistant around the questions agents already ask. Now upload the materials, your agent attraction deck, your buyer guide, your seller guide, your scripts. If you have a transition guide, include it. If you have a market update you use in conversations, include it. If you have a 1-page summary of your team model, include it. If you have a training calendar, include it. The assistant gets better when it has actual source material instead of vague memory. And I would add one instruction at the top of the assistant that says this: every draft should be professional, warm, accurate, and relationship-based. Do not create cold outreach. Do not promise incentives. Do not disparage another brokerage or agent. Do not advise anyone to bypass an agreement. When details affect money, legal obligations, contracts, sponsorship, or timing, flag them for human review. That one instruction matters. It keeps the tool inside the right lane. Once that assistant is built, your admin team can start using it immediately. Meeting prep notes are the first use case. Before a second conversation, they can enter, here is the agent, here is what they asked, here is their current situation, here are their concerns, here is what they seem to care about. The assistant can create a prep sheet with the likely questions, the right resources to send, and the best next step to suggest. The second use case is follow-up emails. After meeting number one, your admin team can enter the notes and ask for a follow-up that references the actual conversation. If the agent cared about training, the email should talk about training. If they cared about economics, the email should talk about economics. If they cared about culture, the email should talk about culture. That is how follow-up starts to feel personal without taking an hour to write. The third use case is follow-up text. Text should be short, useful, and specific. Something like, good talking today. I pulled the transition guide we discussed and the training calendar you asked about. Want me to send both? That is simple. It connects to the conversation. It gives an easy next step. The assistant can draft 5 versions, and a human can pick the one that sounds most natural. The fourth use case is objection handling. An agent might say, I am worried about losing local support, or I do not want to start over, or I am not sure the economics make sense, or I have pending deals. You can ask the assistant to draft calm, respectful responses that explain the facts, point to the right resource, and invite a real conversation. Objection handling should sound like someone answering the concern carefully. The fifth use case is a resource recommendation. The assistant can say, based on this agent's questions, send the buyer guide, the seller guide, the transition guide, the team training calendar, or the commission breakdown. That helps your admin team move faster because they are not hunting through folders every time someone asks a common question. Here is the simple build process. Step 1, create the assistant. Step 2, paste in your positioning and guardrails. Step 3, upload your core documents. Step 4, test it with 3 real scenarios from past conversations. Step 5, save the best outputs as examples. That last step is important. The assistant improves when it sees what good sounds like for your team. Let me give you a sample prompt for your admin team. We just met with an agent who is exploring whether a move could make sense in the next 90 days. They asked about training, transition, support, and how our team helps agents grow listings. Draft a warm follow-up email that references those 3 topics, recommends the right resources from our documents, and ends with a simple next step. Keep it conversational and do not make any promises. That is a good prompt because it includes context, topics, resources, tone, and guardrails. Here's another one. Prepare meeting notes for a second conversation. The agent is productive, concerned about transition disruption, and wants to understand training and support. Give me 5 questions to ask, 3 points to clarify, 2 resources to send, and 1 recommended next step. That gives the person going into the call a useful plan. It also keeps the conversation focused on what the agent actually cares about. The biggest mistake I see people making with AI is asking it to do everything from nothing. That creates generic answers. Give it your real materials. Give it the actual notes. Give it the exact concern. Give it the standards you expect. Then make a person review the output before anything goes out. AI gets you to the first draft faster. The human still owns the relationship. You also need a naming system. Keep the meeting notes clean. Date, agent name, current brokerage, main concern, resources sent, next step, follow-up date. Nothing fancy. The assistant can help draft the note after every meeting. That gives your team memory. When someone follows up 2 weeks later, they know exactly what happened in the last conversation. That is how you stop acting like every meeting starts from zero. Now, I want to connect this to Real Edge Network because this is the kind of problem we are actively solving. Real Brokerage gives you a cleaner platform to build on. Real Edge Network gives you the people, tools, templates, and shared operating experience around it. The value is being around people who are building systems, testing what works, and improving the way agents are supported through the process. So here is your action step. This week, build the simple version. Do not overcomplicate it. Add your value props, commission structure, culture, training systems, and FAQs. Upload your deck, buyer guide, seller guide, and scripts. Then ask it to draft 1 follow-up email, 1 follow-up text, 1 objection response, and 1 meeting prep note from a real conversation. Review everything, edit it, save the best version. If your follow-up after meeting number 1 is inconsistent, this is one of the fastest fixes you can make. 15 minutes will not build the whole machine. It can give your team a better first draft, a faster response, and a cleaner next step. And in agent attraction, that matters. The team that responds fastest with the most relevant follow-up usually earns the next conversation. Here's the question I'd leave you with. After meeting number 1, does your follow-up make the agent feel like you were actually listening? Because that is the standard. Fast matters. Relevant matters more. And when you can do both, you create a very different experience. So build the assistant. Test it on one real conversation. Let it help your admin team move faster without losing the human part. And if this gave you a useful idea, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which piece of follow-up is the messiest in your world right now. Emails, texts, objection handling, meeting prep, transition questions, or the money conversation. I'll see you on the next one.